Hey guys, it's me, Ellie, aka Looks from the Crypt. So I know, for the past fucking 3 videos, I've been talking about how I'm gonna do like a regular old celery fashion, get ready with me, full on film analysis of a 80s SOV trasher piece, but it's really fucking hot. Thank you, global warming. Today we're going to be delving into 4 extremely disturbing short films. Ooh. All honestly pretty accessible on YouTube or the Internet Archives, which the Internet Archives is a really awesome resource, but it may be gone soon, so take that information as you will. They do have a lot of disturbing films on there in general, or weird shit. I highly recommend perusing on there. I will be ranking these from least disturbing to most disturbing, and at least from what I felt to be was least disturbing to most disturbing. Some of these were kind of like ooh, neck to neck, where I wasn't quite sure on their placement, so I gave them all a rewatch, so it's all fresh in my mind. These are all second 10 time watches for me, because a lot of these are ones I really enjoy. With that being said though, grab a snack, grab a drink, and keep on watching if that sounds like fun to you. The first one we're going to be talking about today is This House Has People in It from 2016. This one is a part of Adult Swim's infomercial series, which will air at 4 a.m., which includes other works like Too Many Cooks and then the unedited footage of a bear, directed by Alan Renzick, which I believe had a part in those as well. I could be wrong, which you may also know Alan Renzick from his absurdist, surreal comedy horror series here on YouTube. It's way back. It's like on some OG YouTube shit. It was called Alan Tutorials, and in Alan Tutorials, he would teach you how to do really basic things.
Hey guys, thanks for coming to my Bluetooth page. Today I'm gonna do a new tutorial how to pick up a chair if it falls down.
It's really funny and just odd and bizarre because it just delves into weirder and weirder shit. And if you're familiar with him and already enjoyed that series, I highly recommend This House Has People in It. As many of you may know, just since if you've been around on this channel or know me, I'm a really big fan of found footage. It is one of my favorite subgenres in the horror genre, and I would consider This House Has People in It to be found footage. It is the surveillance camera footage of mundane, typical family that you probably would normally never care to see the footage of, except for on this day where shit gets weird and gets weirder and weirder the further you go in. So their daughter is sinking through the floor. The family doesn't seem to give a shit or really care or notice until it's too late to do something about, and it's believed to be linked to a disease called Link's disease. I did not plan on my wording there, which is talked about. You hear bits and pieces of it throughout the short, but we never actually get to know what it is. And what this really is about at the end of the day is the descent into madness that this family goes through, and how people react or don't react when things get strange and bad. This is one where things definitely are more than what they seem at face value, and this is one that I recommend doing numerous watches on, because I feel like even now, I've seen this many a times. This is kind of one of my, I don't know, it's just something I enjoy. They're just something that I like weird shit, and it's only 10 minutes long. However, every time you see it, you notice something different. You notice another new thing, and its subtlety is what makes it so awesome and fun to watch. So I recommend watching this one, and if you do watch it more than once. For me, this entry is more bizarre / funny than disturbing. However, I know a lot of people who got super into the lore of this and its backstory and into the ARG and shit like that. Really, or try to seek out a deeper meaning. I never really try to seek out a deeper meaning because, from my understanding, there isn't one. But people who do believe there to be one find it to be deeply disturbing. Although I choose not to overanalyze This House Has People in It due to the fact Alan Renzick even says not to, and that there isn't anything to it. I will say that it does appear to be a metaphor or an allegory for suicide, as the teenage daughter. Before things get really bad, they try to say that she's faking it, doing for attention, yada yada yada. And then just seeing the way people deal with it. Like, some people kind of just go fucking insane, some people just dip. Chaos in the house, in addition to people just not dealing with it or ignoring it even after the fact.
Hi, for Christmas this year I'm making my father a fruitcake. I don't like my father, but this year I'm gonna have fun.
Next entry we have is Cooking with Huck from 1999. Written, starring, directed by Huck himself, who you may know for being the writer of The Last Exorcism and directing the Virginity hit. Cooking with Huck is a found footage style movie of him playing himself, going through this process here that he has introduced us to, which is it's basically a revenge film. He's felt that his family has deeply wronged him, from reasons that you would say are not valid to reasons that are extremely valid, and he does that via cooking them meals and tampering with them. And we see him prepare these meals, inquire, soliciting people to help fuck with them, and then we see him deliver the meals and watch his family members eat them. I'm just going to go through each segment of each thing that happens to the food. I cannot remember what went to who and what each item was exactly. He gets people on the street to spit into a fruitcake for his father. He makes a baked Alaska for, I think it's like his mom. And he kind of, it's hard to describe. He goes and finds some roadkill and kind of just like takes off some of the meat to mix into it. He, for his sister, gets people with hepatitis B to bloodlet and make like kind of like a icing out of the blood, mixed with chocolate. I am like an infectious disease dude for a living, so sorry for the health nerd shit upcoming. They say they have hepatitis B, but due to like the way they describe the illness and how they contracted it, I think that it's actually hepatitis C. So I'm gonna call bullshit on Huck on this one, because either way, still not a good time. One's not necessarily better than the other. We'll just leave it at that. And then having male porn stars ejaculate into a cheesecake for his mom. And to further emphasize like on the raw grittiness of this film is that he has a meeting with his therapist and documents it, of course, that's how we're seeing it, to discuss his like plans and things like that. And he advises not against it due to the legality of it. It's disgusting, it's fucked up, and that he should just simply talk with his family members about these things. Yet then we proceed to see Huck next day do some more. This is a very mean-spirited, fucked up movie, which I really enjoy. However, it still remains hilarious and really funny at times.
I work with children, and they pass things around, critters.
Could you have gotten it from the kids? Hepatitis B?
I haven't shared needles with kids.
Which is rough to say, but it's true. Like, there's just some nuance to some of the things. Like, when he elicits the male porn stars to ejaculate into the cheesecake. Just saying, just so you know, if you do intend on checking this out or watching it, you do see the actions actually take place. So you do see the people take the blood out of their arm. You see people actually jerking off into a cake, etc. I digress, though. The funny thing is, though, is that one of the male porn stars says, like, why don't you do something like with pee or poop, like something like normal, and he's like, it's none of your fucking business, which just like gives me like a good laugh. And then also the segments when you see the family members eating it afterward are hilarious, because it's the segment with his brother, who is the only person who deserves it. Nobody else really does. I mean, I guess nobody does. That this isn't like a proper coping mechanism, but you don't really feel that bad when his brother has the cheesecake. And it's just a funny moment where the brother's like, Huck, like, I really wasn't looking forward to seeing you on this Christmas. However, this cheesecake's just so good. Like, I forgive you. Like, I'm happy to see you, which is kind of gives me a little giggle, okay? The thing that really hits for me is the willingness from the participants to take place in this, in addition to the way they kind of sympathize with Huck, despite his reasons being pretty unreasonable for the most part, except for the exception of the the cream pie cheesecake, if you will, that's for his brother. Cooking with Huck Botko got some of a physical release, I guess. It's a bootleg. I got my copy of Ensuring Your Place in Hell from Corpse Collector on Instagram. If you like weird mixtapes, Mondo gore shit, they have a lot of this. They have a very expansive list. So if that's your thing, check them out. I was just after this. The Mondo gore shit isn't really my thing. I feel like this movie, however, has a special place in terms of this mixtape collection here. So it is a found footage collection. I guess you could think of this as a found footage anthology, despite none of them actually being related or intertwined, but in the sense of being true raw found footage. And this collection has Cooking with Huck Botko. It has Mortuary of the Dead, Grave Robbing for Morons, and I almost said Mormons, but and Exploding Varmints. Is really raw and gritty, needless to say, just because in the setting of this, it elicits different kinds of feelings, and it feels a little bit more hardcore and unsettling. And if you're not familiar, for example, Grave Robbing for Morons is a very young person describing grave robbing and how they go about it and why they enjoy and why they do it. And for a completely shift in tone, my next one is The Strange Thing About the Johnsons from 2011, directed by the final boss of Family Issues, being Ari Aster, who is, of course, known for Hereditary and Midsummer. And just fair warning, this one does include depictions of incest, sexual assault, and rape. So this one really packs a punch within 30 minutes and is very deeply unsettling, depressing, disturbing, you name it, in a very serious tone, at least for me anyways, is how I perceived it, as compared to some of these other ones are kind of more cheeky. We open with Sidney the father and his son Isaiah. Sidney walks in on Isaiah masturbating, immediately closes his door and says, "I knocked," but the motherfucker did not knock.
All right, shoes on, mister.
Wait, don't. I'm cleaning it.
I knocked.
He takes a step out, comes back in, and wants to have a conversation about what happened. They address the elephant in the room, if you will. And, he gives him, kind of a talk saying, yeah, what you're doing is totally normal and natural. Everybody does it kind of thing. Which, honestly, this whole tone really has a strong happiness vibe, which I really recommend. I love that movie. Sydney leaves, and then it is revealed that Isaiah was masturbating to a photo of his father. Fast forward, Isaiah's grown up. We are at his wedding, actually, taking wedding photos with the family. However, there's something off. Sydney appears to be a shell of a person now, whereas before he was more bright and just different. You see that Isaiah's hand is on his ass, grabbing it while they're taking these photos. This story follows them as the sexual assault and deviancy progresses. It goes from him masturbating to photos of his father as a kid to sexual assault, rape, manipulation, and just general emotional abuse towards him. All meanwhile, our mother character is fully aware of the situation, however chooses a blissful ignorance approach to further perpetuate their picture perfect family, kind of taking ignorance is bliss, out of sight, out of mind kind of approach to it to cope. And this is one that I will not be giving spoilers for because this is heavy watch, and if you are interested, I highly recommend checking it out on your own. And if not, there are plenty of YouTube analysis of this. I mean, fuck, I even feel like I can make a full video on this short itself because it is very impactful. However, I will not spoil it because I feel like it kind of further unravels this family dynamic the further we go into it and how it ends. I find this film to be very harrowing, tense, awkward, and effective in all rights of those words, for sure. It's very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. You really feel for Sydney. And Sydney does a great job at portraying the fear, shame, guilt, and pain, and then even the helplessness in trying to tell his story as to what happened just due to the nature of it. And I know this movie to a lot of folks was like really silly, and it became like a meme in a way where people were like reacting to it and laughing. But I don't really think it's funny. I think it's really fucked up and sad. Actually, this one like it hit me kind of thing. It made me very uncomfortable, and as a fan of horror, I do like to have those limits pushed. Personally, if a film makes me feel uncomfortable, I feel like it's done its job. And I feel like this film is really important because I feel like a lot of people found it to be funny and silly. However, whereas I found it as this role reversal that we're not used to seeing, where a son is abusing a father, helps emphasize the horrors of sexual assault, rape, and abuse, and even like emotional abuse and things like that, that we've grown to become normalized and like desensitized to. Lastly, I have Aftermath from 1994. This is the second installment in Nacho Cerda's Trilogy of Death series. However, I would say Aftermath by far is the most notable one in the series. This is another somewhat heavy one, so I will say, again, like a warning for necrophilia. The premise for Aftermath is once all the staff of the morgue has left for the day, there's one last mortician left here. We see him perform like a standard autopsy. He is then left with the corpse of a young woman who died in a car accident. And there's no dialogue in this film, just so you know. So, guys, I don't want you to judge me, because there's no good way to say this when I get into this. You know what I mean? So, bear with me here. Maybe I should take a drink before. So, I feel like you guys are about to have that moment with me, if you've seen Spun, when Brittany Murphy tells that dude, like, I thought you were a normal guy. That's gonna be what you guys are saying to me. But, like, so, I, like, almost feel like I shouldn't say this, because it just sounds really fucked up, but, like, I went into this movie knowing what it was, of course. However, I thought it was gonna be normal necrophilia.
What? What the fuck?
Which sounds really harsh and like absurd to say, but like something like in Dead Girl or like Necromantic, where I guess like a corpse is fully intact. However, our nameless mortician chooses to saw into the woman's body, like removing organs and doing weird fucked off shit like that. He gets like aroused. And then we go from treading the waters with him just jerking off while looking at her and touching her to full-on corpse fucking. And while he is fucking her corpse, there is a camera on a timer taking photos of the sequences. And he finishes his job, cleans up for the night, then he takes home what we believe to be some of her remains to feed his dog. And then he just sits there, you know, goes and chills in his living room, turns on TV, and looks at a newspaper looking at the mortuaries. I find this one to be really effective because I really do enjoy the thought of the fact that people who do weird fucked up stuff live normal lives that we have no idea about. Which is another reason why I really enjoy like the movie Creep. Same idea. He doesn't fucking corpses, but the same idea of like people who seem normal aren't. And there is more than we will ever know. Which is something I really enjoy because it's very unsettling and it makes you feel some type of way. And with that being said, I am really curious to check out the rest of Nacho Cerda's Trilogy of Death series. I just knew that this was like the most popular one, which is kind of why I wanted to check it out. And a lot of people say it's probably the most shocking one. So naturally, your boy had to watch it. But I'm definitely curious about what else the series entails. And that concludes the official list. But then I do have a little bonus round because I don't want to leave you guys hanging without like a nice little palate cleanser after watching or hearing about all this fucked up shit. However, it's still really fucked up. And that movie is Opal by Jack Stauber. Jack Stauber, you may know him as the like,
can I have a peppermint?
You can have a peppermint.
That's too hot for me.
Hey!
that guy. And it did it air on Adult Swim. This one is a really beautiful claymation with fucking banger ass tunes. I mean, Jack Stauber makes all the music, and as we already know, he makes some fucking bangers. And this is another one I won't get spoilers for, but just because it definitely is very open to interpretation. However, it is a really, like, it's the kind of thing you have a really good time watching it until you don't. And once you realize things, all these have this common theme of things are more than what they seem, and this definitely has that. That leaves you feeling very depressed and, like, kind of empty by the end of it, because you think you're having a good time, but you are not. We have a curious little girl who decides to investigate the screams and cries coming from a house across the street that is forbidden. Her family kind of shuts the curtains when she notices it and things like that. And she sneaks in, and then we follow her as she sneaks around the house trying to avoid many of the very deranged characters that live inside. I said I wasn't going to do spoilers, but I feel like this one is open for discussion. So I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to talk about the themes of it, I guess. It kind of explores the destructiveness of, like, drug dependency, mental illness, and neglect that occurs in very unstable families that affects the whole family to cause the children to fall victim secondhand to what is going on with the adults in the family, and then the kids, how they tend to find a unhealthy level of escapism that perhaps becomes, after a certain point, their own sort of vice in a way. I really recommend this one. It's very cute. The music's awesome.
Me like dogs, and the girls are singing.
The visuals are great, and it honestly is very depressing, but it's a really good watch too. However, if you don't think about it too much also, you won't feel that sad while watching it. It's when you realize the deeper meaning of it, when you're like, man, this sucks. And with that being said, that concludes this list. That's all I got for you now. I would love to do one of these in the future, but I just don't know how many more I know. I know of, like, Cutting Moments and some other films that are technically short films, but they're still long for a short film, whereas all these range between 10 to 30 minutes or so. So let me know if you have any recommendations. I would love to check them out. In addition to that, I'm going to link all these in the bio because they are all accessible via YouTube or the Internet Archives. And as per usual, I will have all my links in the description here in case you missed me and need more of my content. I recently collabed with Crustbag. You may know him. He has a really big following on both YouTube and TikTok. He did a fun little game show style video with myself and a lot of other creators where we had to guess if it is a incel Reddit rant or misogynistic deathcore lyrics, and that's not like fun to you. I'll also have that linked in somewhere to click. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is me, Ellie, aka Looks from the Crypt, and I am out.